I always find that violent exercise makes me hungry. Don't you agree?
Welcome, generic military dunderheads, rehash of the Silurians, and main characters, to the 231st episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 8th of November 2017, and featuring the Sea Devils, written by Malcolm Hulk, and starring John Pertwee as the Doctor, Katie Manning as Joe Grant, Nicholas Courtney as the Brigadier, and Roger Delgado as the Master. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I am hereby replacing all the hyas in my vocabulary with mistake. With me are Mad Matt Winchell,
Strawberry Ramune,
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
This may be my last night as 100% flesh and blood human.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
Chocolate.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan,
I'm not the master, but you don't have to obey me.
and Thomas Fireheart.
I remembered to unmute myself this week.
Yay!
All right. Yeah, as I kind of said without saying, I'm going into the hospital tomorrow for a procedure.
Cyborg.
That
upgrading is compulsory.
that they're basically going to stuff a probe up the vein in my arm and look for blockages in my heart, which I'm praying to God they don't get lost in the subclavian.
So not quite a $6 million.
Because that's
upgrade.
what killed Sylvester McCoy. And I really don't want to be involved in that crappy movie.
No, but
You could save it.
regenerate.
I started the habit, don't you know?
You regenerate into Paul McGann.
If they find a blockage, they're going to put a stent in to help remove the blockage, which means I am going to have a cybernetic graft in my body. Which means I guess I could get away with starting to call people meatbags then, couldn't I?
Actually, I think
mean,
my grandmother is still more of a robot than you are then. My grandmother's had her hips replaced.
Oh, I was gonna ask if she had wheels, so she'd be a wagon.
That'd be the next upgrade. It would also come with treads.
My grandmother the tank.
Why not?
I mean, come on, this is a 60s, 70s sitcom here, isn't it?
Grandmother, no, not to the neighbor's house. There she goes.
I was going to say, wasn't there a sitcom about a possessed tank? But I think that was actually a comic book.
That was a comic book, and I don't think it was a tank. It was actually a possessed construction equipment.
I think there was one about a Sherman tank too.
Might have been
Was
a
it
Tales of the
possessed?
Crypt thing, but anyway.
But was it possessed by a guy named
A guy named what?
Sherman?
Oh. You cut out before you said Sherman.
your voice cut out exactly on that word.
Oh, great timing. Great freaking timing. Anyway, on tonight's show, we have the news. There's not a lot of it, as you can tell, because we're bantering. A little bit of geek talk. Actually, I think there's a little bit of a touch from the rumor mill now. No, I put that in news. Never mind. So, yeah, it's going to go to the news. We have a couple of articles in Geek Talk. I have something I want to get off my chest as per usual. Then we're going to move on to the 5-minute challenge and our review of the episode. So let's start with the news and birthdays. We've got a couple of birthdays only. On the 3rd of November, it's a posthumous birthday for Richard Herndl, who played the first Doctor in the 5 Doctors, thus playing a Doctor, thus being on our list. He would have been 107, but died in 1984 at the age of 83, not that long after actually filming the 5 Doctors. Richard was the first in proving one big thing. If the look was close enough, fans would accept a replacement Doctor.
Very true,
sure,
if they're close.
There were a few people that complained he wasn't exactly Hartnell, but the majority of fans dealt with it and moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us were too young to tell.
This fact is allowing this year's Christmas special to happen.
And
Yes.
hopefully David Bradley doesn't go the same way.
I'm hoping not.
Then we'll know it really is cursed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
crossing the fingers here.
Yeah. If that's a cursed position, then we got to start looking for Voldemort or something.
There's actually a real master in the universe, and he keeps killing off the first Doctor.
So moving on from the 3rd of November, we go to the 5th of November, and Andrew Hayden Smith, who played Jake Simmons in S2, that would have been the person from Pete's World that Mickey eventually wound up hanging out with for a while.
Oh, okay. That's who that is. Okay.
Yep. He turned 34, and he's on this list because he both appeared in Rise of the Cybermen Age of Steel and Army of Ghosts Doomsday.
Yep.
So that makes him worthy as a reoccurring character.
It was all in one season, but he appeared twice in one season.
Some weeks that wouldn't make it, but on a slow birthday week, that counts.
And this is the last birthday. Andrew's been doing pretty strong as a television actor since his Who days. Last couple of years, he's been a regular on Hollyoaks as Detective Sergeant Armstrong. And he does have that modern copper look if you take a look at the picture. The unshaven chin and everything.
Yeah.
And that does it for birthdays. Unfortunately, one thing we do have a bit of news on is deaths. So, Aaron.
Yes, very unfortunate. Our first passing is Paddy Russell, who died at the age of 89. And she was one of the great pioneering television directors of the generation. She was known as Paddy, and she had a very long career. She trained as an actor attending the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. And let me see here. She moved. She was more at home behind the scenes, moving to become a stage manager. Hence her going into directing. But she was first into Doctor Who. She became the first female director to work on the show. She helmed the first Doctor story, The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve.
Also
I hear that's a
simply
good
known
one.
simply known as The Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people see the on St. Bartholomew's Eve and go, "Wow, that's a mouthful."
Yeah.
And let me see here. Says something about John Pertwee. Invasion of the Dinosaurs. It was 8 years later that Russell returned to the show, working on the 6-part John Pertwee story, Invasion of the Dinosaurs, which
Directing was
gotten
not a
very
problem with
good
that episode.
stuff,
that
but
was
yeah.
there's other issues. So.
All right. She was also involved in the Pyramid of Mars, one of my favorites, and Horror of Fang Rock.
Ooh.
So she's responsible for Tom Baker missing his bacon sandwich?
Possibly.
She did find him. She had a prickly relationship with the lead actor, whom she found increasingly difficult to work with.
So did a lot of people.
True.
Okay.
It'd be hard
She
to work
also
with if
worked
I missed
on-
my bacon sandwich too.
True, so would anybody. If you're hangry and trapped in a mummy suit, anybody would be difficult to work with.
You know,
Ew,
she's also
Nova would
worked
have trapped
on
me in that
other
mummy
shows.
suit. No. Not again.
She's also worked on The Newcomers, Little Women, Fathers and Sons, The Moonstone, My Old Man, Zed Cars, Within These Walls,
Of course,
321, and
Zed
Emmerdale. Yeah,
Just say that she worked on Zed Cars, huh?
Zed Cars. Everyone has worked on Zed Cars.
We need to sit
Everyone
down
was
and
around
watch
in
Zed
those
Cars. Maybe we
days,
should
you
do
know.
that as a spoof
We
sometime.
We can't. A lot of it's missing.
Ugh.
Mm.
I don't even understand what Zed Cars is.
It's
What
just
is
a cop
it?
show from
Oh,
the
Why do
from
they
the
call it Zed Cars?
60s.
Z Cars. Do they paint giant Z's on their cars or something? Send the criminals to sleep?
Might have something to do with like a serial number on the cars or something, maybe.
Yeah, it could be the.
Zed Cars is a British
Oh.
television drama series centered around the work of a mobile uniformed police in the fictional town of Newton.
Yeah, and the title comes from radio call signs.
Ah.
So it's basically the British equivalent of Car 54.
Yep.
Where are you?
Mm-hmm. Calling all the Z cars.
Alright, so the other passing that we have had is composer Dudley Simpson, who composed quite a lot. He passed at the age of 95 for one thing, so quite a long
into the
run.
yeah, well into the good run.
Mm-hmm.
He worked on 290 episodes of Doctor Who, writing the score to over 60 stories. So quite a lot of the soundtrack was done by him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's best known for his work on the first 4 Doctors, as well as some iconic TV theme tunes to other shows like Blake 7 and the Tomorrow People. So...
Yeah.
Okay.
I still will remember the Blake 7 theme to my death. So.
I wanted to make sure that he didn't do today's music because I have something to mention about today's music.
Oh
Anyway.
yeah, you're not alone.
No, we've
not
actually
alone.
looked that up. We've looked that up.
We looked that up. The person that did this one though would later do the themes for Earthshock and Attack of the Cybermen.
Interesting, lad.
Let you chew on that until we actually get to talking about this.
Yeah.
So yes, Dudley Simpson had a very long career. You can go on to BBC News and read all about it. It's quite a large article.
There's like 2 paragraphs worth of episodes that he did for Doctor Who.
And I'm not sure, but I thought that we pointed this out.
He did the music for last week's episode.
Yeah.
Last week's episode, which was okay.
Guys, I don't know if we pointed this out, but he actually played the conductor in episode 4 of Talons of Wang Chiang.
Oh.
Yes.
He played the conductor.
He was
okay.
actually the conductor in that scene.
By the way, Dudley Simpson has done music for everything we've done so far this season. Terror of the Autons, Mind of Evil, Claws of Axos, Colony in Space, The Daemons. And then he took a little break until Curse of Peladon. Well, he did Day of the Daleks too, but we're not going to talk about Day of the Daleks.
Simpson's last commission for the series would be The Lost Story Shada, with the advent of new producer John Nathan Turner, who wanted fresh sound for the program. His services were dispensed with.
Yeah, John Nathan Turner, the asshole in the tropical shirt.
The guy who goes around firing everybody in order to save money and then still can't save the show.
Yeah, and he fired Douglas Adams at the exact same time as this guy.
Pretty much.
He fired Douglas
I wonder
Adams
if he was friends with Trump back in the day.
Because, firing everybody and getting rid of people you think aren't doing their jobs is the great way of making sure your business is running. Right?
Yeah. No, not just firing people that you don't think are doing their jobs, firing people you don't agree with.
Yeah. That's the thing. A lot of people were doing their jobs. He just wanted to change everything about the show.
Yes. I love Doctor Who. I'm a great fan, but I hate everything about it. That's kind of essentially what he did.
Yeah.
Because he came in, he found Douglas Adams' humor to be too sophomoric, so fired him. Fired our friend Dudley Simpson here.
But
who
yeah,
had
fired
been
Dudley
making-
because he didn't think his music was good enough.
Well, no, the
One
fact that they
assumes.
actually Dudley Simpson was actually a hired composer for this show. And he thought he could save money by having it done by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop instead, which they only turned to when Dudley Simpson was unavailable. Apparently, like during this week's episode, he was on holiday, so they went to the Radiophonic Workshop to do soundtracking. But so John Nathan Turner came in, thought they could save money by doing that. He then proceeded to pick a fight with Tom Baker. He then proceeded to institute uniforms and personally design weird ones for the Doctor. I mean, we have him to blame for the Fifth Doctor's celery lapel, for the Sixth Doctor's bad taste suit, for the Seventh Doctor's question mark jumper. Yes.
For the Sixth Doctor's.
I don't mind that
violence and
jacket,
bad
but
attitude.
Coat of many
the Sixth
colours.
Doctor's pants, just no.
Either way, I mean, basically John Nathan Turner proceeded to take charge of the show and fuck it up. And firing Dudley Simpson and Douglas Adams were fuck ups.
Major fuck ups for the franchise, yes.
Dudley Simpson did classic music, and he did it well. He did music subtly.
Mm-hmm. He knew that it helped punctuate the scene and not overwhelm it. Which Radiophonics Workshop didn't always do.
Not always, but sometimes. I mean, some of their music was perfect. I mean, I think they were the ones that also did Tomb of the Cybermen music.
Well, I believe they did a number of the Cyberman themes, yeah.
Yeah, and I would not argue against the Tomb of the Cybermen music. That scene with the music playing as they're crawling out of the tombs.
Dum, 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 dum,
In
dum,
general,
dum,
I think Cybermen episodes tended to have the best scores in Classic Who.
But, and that's because Dudley Simpson was a bit of a minimalist. He played it subtly, he didn't go over the top, and he was kind of an old school person, which is probably why John Nathan Turner fired him. Either way, that's why he didn't make any more.
Yeah.
But then he proceeded to live to 95, so good job, Dudley.
So, the joke's on John.
All right. So we're going to go on from Lost Stories news to episode news. Tim?
Yes, well, there's no current or previous, but in the future, we're going to have a Children in Need special that, unlike previous Children in Need specials that are original standalone stories, this one will be a scene from the upcoming Christmas special, Twice Upon a Time.
I think at this point, more than half of them have been Christmas.
Yeah, I was about to say, I
clips,
think about a couple of them have been at least since they started.
Yeah, it's not unusual. They'll either do a custom scene for Children in Need, an extended scene, or they'll give you a scene from the Christmas special. Because occasionally they'll do a bridging scene.
Yeah, it depends on what they have time for. And with switching their hands, they don't have time for anything.
I mean, the first Children in Need they did was David Tennant's first appearance, basically an extended version of his post-regeneration scene.
We're not counting the 5 Doctors.
Considering the fact that the Christmas Invasion, he basically staggered out of the TARDIS, and at the end of Parting on the Ways, he had just regenerated. That was a bridging scene that they did there.
Yep.
Let's see, at the end of season 2, I can't remember if they did anything for Children of Need. I don't think they did.
End of season 2, was that? No, that wasn't the Titanic. That was season 3.
That's season 3. So I think season 2 they did do just a clip.
Not unless they did a No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they even did a clip from the Christmas
No,
special.
I think they
unless
didn't do
could've.
anything that year. But the following year they did Time Crash.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that was
That was kind of the
especially-
most original one.
Yep. And then let's see, at the end of the end of 4, they didn't do anything because that was starting the specials. So they didn't really have anything they could do there. They might have shown a scene from the Next Doctor, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But
Mm.
I think they might have shown like the opening from the Next Doctor, up till the point that you had the two doctors pointing the screwdriver and going LNG, because that all looked familiar to me.
Yep.
So I think they might have done that as a preview. And then
Makes sense because it would function as a trailer.
And then of course they did nothing. Or no, they did do something the following year, and again, it was like the opening to
End of Time?
End of Time Part 1. The bit with Wilfred Mott in the church, I think, is what they did.
We should just have Wilf every Christmas. Just as a gift to the fans. And to Bernard Cribbins.
Here,
Yeah.
have a wrinkly old man. Yay!
No, what I would
What?
love to have them do, not even make it canonical, Doctor Who meets the Wombles. As narrated by Bernard Cribbins. But let's see, I don't remember anything other than possibly a preview scene for A Christmas Carol, but don't quote me on that one.
Yeah.
And I think anything after that has all been preview stuff, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Moffat's been very lazy about that, if they show anything at all.
Yeah.
Yep. Or he'll release a Sherlock episode.
Oh, I know what they did for the end of the second season, Children in Need. I think that was the one where they had a contest to have a guest appear in a Children in Need special, and it was John Barrowman and this guy fooling around in the
okay.
TARDIS.
Oh, that's right.
I just
yeah.
realized this wasn't a Doctor Who, but was David Tennant's appearance on the Catherine Tate show? Wasn't that either Children in Need or Red Nose Day?
It might have
Red
been that,
Nose.
and I think that was Red Nose Day.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
kind of hard. It's kind of hard to tell because they come out usually around the same time-ish,
Just about.
right in that hiatus between Spring Doctor Who and the Christmas special.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Red Nose Day comes out, I think, in like October or September, and
Children needs a
Red-
little closer to
look-
December.
yep. I could be wrong, however, but yeah, I think that
It's
one
highly
was
likely it was Red Nose Day.
Red Nose Day, and I know the classic Curse of Fatal Death was Red Nose Day.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, so it means we are going to get a little preview scene for 12. Why can't I remember titles today? Twice Upon a Time.
Because it's a really janky title.
No, because my brain is not functioning right now because I'm about to have surgery in about 7 hours.
Well,
He's
that
going,
doesn't
oh
help
God,
either,
oh God, oh
but-
God, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to drown out the chorus of voices saying that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Someone sing a Venusian lullaby.
Anyway,
Hadu, hadu.
let's not. Moving on to our alumni news, Bill.
All right, so we've got Christopher Eccleston has been doing some interviews, apparently to promote his show, The A Word. So the one that we found most relevant was brought to us by Cultbox, although I don't think that's who he did the interview with. But he mentions that his reaction to the casting of Jodie Whittaker was hurrah. He says the BBC has gone as far as they can with skinny white men. Another interview that I saw, this was reported by the Radio Times, but again, I couldn't find them mention who it was with unless it was with them, mentioning that essentially in terms of representation of basically any other demographic, the BBC are dinosaurs. Or I think he said BBC. He might have just been referring to the industry as a whole. So please don't quote me and make a scandal. But back to this one, he says, it's time, isn't it? It had to change, and God knows how much money it makes for the BBC. They had to reinvent it, and they could not have chosen someone better.
By the way, Christopher Eccleston is an A word.
I was holding that one back, but...
Oh, no, I'm not holding anything back tonight, Matt. But yes, I mean, the guy has quit Doctor Who and has basically spent most of the rest of his career sticking his head in the sand and going, la, 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 I don't hear you, la, 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 la.
What's that? It's got fans? I don't care about fans. La, 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 la.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's ever said anything insulting to fans. Like, there was that time there was a sick child, and he did that thing.
He's basically ignored the fact that he's done Doctor Who except in these direct interviews.
Mm-hmm.
He does
and he only acknowledges that he ever did it when he feels like it, and even then he will try to fanatically to not even mention it as much as possible.
I kind of get the opinion that for whatever reason he was not aware of what he was getting into when he got into it.
And I'm not sure how he managed to do that.
Yeah, how could you live in England and not
know what you were dipping your toes into?
Kind of like he thought it would just be, an old thing that people remember fondly but don't really care about in the modern day.
Or he just...
Instead, the entire reaction was...
The new lot would actually... Or he might have just not thought that the new lot would take off like it did.
That said, when asked why he hadn't done conventions like many other Doctor Who alumni, he says, "There's a lot of money there, isn't there? I've always wanted to earn my living by acting. That's not a judgment on people who do them. It's just the way I am. I've avoided all that so far." And then he kind of hints that, if he were to go broke, he would do conventions.
Like I said, Christopher Eccleston's an A word.
It's that's actually something that the guy who plays Ian McDermott, the man who plays Palpatine, once said before he started doing conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what Christopher is missing here is that he's actually going to really like it when he starts doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to regret not coming back to Doctor Who sooner.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing. It's something that Star Trek actors have had to deal with. And it is actually a big problem with some of the way that the British actors see the fan base. Because Patrick Stewart was the same way for his first season of Next Generation until Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner dragged him to a convention.
Thank you for mentioning Patrick Stewart's first season on Star Trek, because there was another interview that I saw, and I wish I could remember who it was with, because I would pull it up right now. But Christopher Eccleston kind of references the fact that, like Patrick Stewart, he was very humorless behind the scenes in his past as an actor. So I take it that means that he's seen that, and changed, but
he hasn't changed enough, especially when it comes to Doctor Who.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart was horrible.
Yeah.
Especially on the set, because everybody else that was on Star Trek that first season, between takes, they were laughing, joking, they were having a good time. And Patrick Stewart's like, "You're not here to have a good time. You're here to get paid to act." I think it has something to do with this Royal Shakespearean training.
A bit.
It brings out good actors, but they need to have the stick surgically removed.
Which is funny, because when you think of how it probably was like in Shakespeare's actual troupe, they were probably goofing off between scenes all the time.
Probably far and beyond, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's turned into this very formal, decorated style of acting.
This very traditional.
We are actors.
This very traditional British thing.
Mm-hmm. And
Britain about how to perform. Yeah.
Britain in general, especially coming off the Victorian age, needed to have the stick removed.
And apparently some of the actors they still make up there need to have a stick removed.
Mm-hmm. Stewart did. I mean, look at
Stewart
Patrick
lost that
Stewart's-
sucker a while ago, and thank God for it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Victoria, just imagine how much culture would be different if the Doctor hadn't left Victoria. Yeah, on her wedding day.
Cricket chirps.
Apparently,
It was Victoria on her wedding day.
did I fuck that up?
You fucked that
You
up.
fucked that up
damn
royally. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's too many damn queens.
You were
the
thinking
same...
you were thinking Queen Elizabeth I.
Probably. There's only like 3 different names that they give all their queens.
Yeah, well, we'll never see an English king named John again. Just saying.
But will we see another George?
I don't know. That was kind of a Habsburg thing. Anyway. Next article.
Oh, that's
then?
right. There is another article under this, isn't there? Yes. Bradley Walsh says he will not stop making The Chase when he becomes a Doctor Who companion. In his upcoming schedule, he has an arena tour for a Peter Pan pantomime next month. And I guess the quiz, it says, The Chase is a daytime quiz. Guessing that means like a game show?
Yeah, it's a game show where they have to go up against like this someone who's like an expert in some kind of knowledge, kind of general knowledge trivia thing.
Yeah.
And I only just realized he was the host of the UK version of this, and it's like, that's where I know him from.
So that's either something that is going to be alternating time of year filming with Doctor Who, or they're going to work something out, or at least that's his intention, that both are going to be continuing.
Both will be fine,
The thing about quiz shows is they can film a whole bunch of them at once.
You can film a whole bunch of it at once, and it takes very little time to make them.
So literally, he takes like 2-3 days off where he's not needed on set, and goes to film, a dozen episodes of The Chase or more.
Maybe not even that. Maybe during like 1 month that he's not on Doctor Who, they film all of it.
Yeah, you don't know. I don't know if he could get a full month free though. That would be a bit rough.
In between seasons, there should be a little bit of time.
No. I was talking during broadcast season.
Oh.
Oh no, not during broadcast. I mean, like in between seasons, there's an easy month or more he could have. Just film that.
They film a Christmas special. You've got a few months while they're finalizing scripts for the next season. You can go ahead and.
Yeah, but if they need him to film, because I know things like quiz shows and stuff in the UK usually have a spring air date and a fall air date where they do like 6 to 8 episodes each one. So if he needed to go,
so that's not much.
I'm sure that he could probably film during the week and then maybe film during the weekends on the quiz show.
Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Not too hard. He thinks he's up to it.
Yep. They've got it figured out somehow. All right. So moving on to our events and interviews. I believe we mentioned this a few months back, possibly even a year. Is the fact that the Czech Republic Planetarium, the Brno in... Yeah, Brno in the Czech Republic. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Planetarium is doing Arrows of Time, a tribute to Doctor Who. It is a full dome planetarium show where the dome on the planetarium is used to show visuals. It is going to be on November 19th with a second performance the following day. The show will go on a global planetarium fringe tour the following year, and will include a 3-week residency at the Edinburgh Fringe. The production is a new multi-doctor adventure 4 years in the making and approved by the BBC. It features the latest in technology and is a 3D, 4K, and a surround sound phenomenon, and it places the audience in the center of the show.
Is that the one that they announced around the time of the 50th, or is that something different?
That was
'Cause it
something
sounds
different.
very similar.
That I think this was something they mentioned, like I said, several months back,
Mm.
that they were going to start working on it, and now it's done.
Mm.
From what I'm
Makes
seeing here,
sense.
it seems that the doctors are 9, 10, 11, and... Actually, yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I saw 1.
It looks
Yeah,
like
it's-
one is going to be in there.
Yeah, it's John Gouliar as one.
So yeah, this
And-
might be the same thing that was announced back then, because I remember them mentioning using him, because that's when I found out that he was the one who voiced
also
the
War
first Doctor
Doctor.
in Day of the Doctor.
And Tom Baker. 4th Doctor.
So you've
Well, it
got.
looks like they'll be using the likeness of the War Doctor.
This is the War Doctor, the 4th Doctor, the 1st Doctor, and then 9 through 12.
So it's basically a giant special kind of appreciation movie thing.
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye out if you have a local planetarium. I don't think we do.
I don't think so.
Planetarium.
I think there might be one in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think the
But-
Milwaukee might be the closest one if we do have anyone.
So, but if you do have a planetarium in your area, keep an eye out next year. It might come. Might not. We don't know yet. Anyway, moving on to video news, Aaron.
It just makes me sad. I remember that episode of Bob's Burgers.
Aaron,
Yes.
focus.
Okay, so apparently we're talking about Germany now. And
Yes.
Germany is getting a Silver Nemesis extended, German language, Big Finish audios, and more. Alright, so let's see here. DVD distributor Pandastorm Pictures has announced that Doctor Who, at the Doctor Who Convention Timelash 3, last weekend of October, there will be a limited box set featuring all of the Seventh Doctor's stories, which will also have new bonus features and never before on DVD released a newly remastered Silver Nemesis Extended Edition. This longer cut of the season 25 story has previously only been released on VHS in the UK.
Why do we need an extended edition of that story?
Because you want the suck to last longer.
Because you want more excellence.
Oh, if it's the Cybermen
I know
portion
it's
of the
no
story, I'm
time
fine
lash,
with it.
but
Yeah,
But
if there's
it's
more, if
fine.
it's more Cybermen, I'm all for this.
It's probably another 15 minutes of Madame Painfort.
yeah,
Oh, I hope not.
wandering around the British countryside and hitchhiking.
Either that or it's 15 minutes of the Doctor listening to jazz music at the beginning.
Alright, the set will also contain Siebter Doctor, Special Collector's Edition, and present valuable hardcover book in coffee table format. It'll be limited to 1,000 copies. Script editor Andrew Cartmel has written over 52 pages of production notes on each story, which can be found in the English language as well as in the German translation. Alright, it's 17 region-free DVDs that contain all adventures in English and German audio, as well as English and German subtitles, and over 24 hours of bonus material. New bonus feature will be BBC America special Doctor Who Revisited the Seventh Doctor, an exclusive new interview with Andrew Cartmel. Product shipment is scheduled for the second week of December. Can only be ordered from Panda Storm's own shop.
Well, Merry Christmas, Germany.
It's region free, Matt. Region free.
Yeah, but that's all going to be defaulted to German language.
Well,
Which-
yeah, but they have the English.
They have the
language on
English
there.
there still.
Yeah, I know. It's still, it'd kind of be interesting to listen to Doctor Who in German. I
What would the
know.
German
imagine-
Cybermen sound like?
I imagine it would sound much angrier.
Much angrier.
German is a very harsh language. Thus, it makes it very fun to swear in.
Don't cough.
Yeah, I'm kind of imagining John Pertwee with a Prussian accent now.
Prussian.
All right.
All right. So also we've got German books and audio publisher Bastelube has announced a new project at the same convention. Partnering up with Big Finish, they will be releasing German translations of Doctor Who audio plays. German dubbing actors known from TV also speaking the parts on audio. Alright, and the first batch of that will be 10th Doctor Adventures featuring Donna Noble as a companion. That'll be out 27th of April 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bunch of German words. All story. Okay. And they will also, apparently in further news, they're also releasing more novels too. Bunch of 11th Doctor ones.
Yep.
Alrighty.
11th Doctor, 11th Doctor, 11th Doctor, 3rd Doctor.
A lot of German stuff getting released.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Germany's been on a huge Doctor Who kick.
It's
past year or
Christmas
two.
for Who fans in Germany.
I know.
Hey.
Alright.
Winter for schlubs in the U.S.
Alright, so also coming out is The Doctors, the William Hartnell years. Alright, Koch Media are to release the 4th in their collection of interviews from real-time pictures with stars from Doctor Who. This will be focusing on first Doctor William Hartnell's era. This DVD, it's a double DVD release in highly regarded series exploring the world of TV's Doctor Who. Will include a special tribute to William Hartnell, containing messages from a host of stars and production staff from Doctor Who, presented by voice of the Daleks, Nicholas Briggs.
Of course it is.
Of course. Don't you know anything about audio and these things?
No, it's because Nicholas Briggs did all of this shit for real-time pictures back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, the double DVD also features the best in-depth interviews ever undertaken with Carol Ann Ford, Jacqueline Hill, William Russell, Peter Purves, and Jackie Lane. Oh.
All the surviving companions.
Mhm.
Well, all the surviving major companions, because wait, did you mention Sarah Kingdom?
No.
No.
Okay, so yeah, so all the major companions. Like my brain kind of inserted her name into the middle, and I'm like, did you say it or not? Like, am I?
No,
saying
it's
it?
not said, Bill.
I see her as a companion, but maybe, you know.
Most of us see her as a companion, but
Yeah,
sadly,
that's why I
there's such a
embraced
short
it.
run, most people try to push it out.
Continuing.
Alright. Alright, for all Doctor Who fans, wow, they're really hyping this. The 2-disc special collector's edition is 5 hours of pure nostalgia, which will give you a whole new insight into the making of Doctor Who. For all Doctor Who fans, this 2-disc special collector's edition is... They just repeated it.
Yeah, they just repeated themselves.
Slightly reworded.
They just slightly reworded the exact same 2 lines. Final note.
Foreshadowing of the DVD release? This is all just the same interview done over 5 discs.
Okay, then that means we're good to move on.
It includes special introduction by Nicholas Briggs. They already mentioned that.
Yeah.
Move along.
So, Tim.
Yes, there is a new website launched by Candy Jar Books, and it's all about everybody's favorite brigadier, Lethbridge Stewart. Yay!
Yay!
I was trying to think of the name for another brigadier. I really was.
Brigadier
Winifred
Bambera.
Bambera. There we go. There's my
That
guess.
is.
Winifred Bambera.
I don't know any
The
other
site
brigadiers.
is being designed by Richard Young of Northeast Design Consultants, who says, "Creating a website for Candy Jar is one of the most enjoyable projects I have ever been involved with. There are so many different elements to the site. something you can easily get lost in and thoroughly enjoy exploring.
Don't take away our license, BBC Worldwide. Look how hard we kiss your ass.
Actually, that's the designer kissing Candy Jar's ass.
Yeah.
It's his way of saying the website is complex and confusing. But I'm going to make
And
it
has
sound
pop-ups.
like that's fun.
Don't fire me or you'll regret it.
No more pop-ups for your website. So there.
I guess it shows how self-aware they are. That's most of what they're doing. That they have their own website now.
Also, to celebrate the launch of the website, Candy Jar is offering a contest, a chance to win a one-of-a-kind Lethbridge Stewart original painting created by Richard Young. And to enter the competition, all you have to do is visit the new website, enter the poll to vote for your favorite book, short story, or cover design, and you will automatically be entered into the prize drawing. So you don't have to answer any obscure trivia question this time.
Yay.
But I'm looking at the painting, and I think that's a pretty nice painting.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do with it, but...
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably stick it someplace.
I can find a place somewhere. There's enough spare spots on my wall yet.
All right.
I'll put it up right next to my Final Fantasy Dissidia poster.
And that'll take us to the Big Finish news.
Moving on to Fig Finish. Out now is a new short trip narrated by Matthew Waterhouse, the ingenious gentleman Adric of Elzarius. Sir Keot of Lacora and his loyal squire Adric are on a quest, a great and noble quest, to stop that most vile of enchanters, the Doctor, from claiming the greatest treasure in the land. Along the way, they intend to battle giants, or possibly windmills, inspire adventurers, rescue a princess, and ultimately come face to face with that most terrifying of all monsters, the dragon. Except Adric knows there are no such thing as dragons. And of course, the speculation that people had upon seeing this is the dragon Tegan?
I don't know, but they're
tells a children's story.
I don't know about Tegan being the dragon, but I do know that Don Quixote is spinning in his grave right now.
If anyone's the princess, it's Nyssa.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Only Adric would cast himself as Sancho Panza. Yeah.
I think this is maybe after one of the Doctor's fights with him.
Maybe.
While he's sulking for the Doctor telling him no, he can't go back home.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In our upcoming release news, I believe last week we had mentioned the news that I believe it was Blogger Who or someone like that had released some Big Finish information. We were a little skeptical because Big Finish hadn't said it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the official information on Gallifrey Time War. Lala Ward, a.k.a. Romana 2, President Romana in this case, Louise Jameson, a.k.a. Leela, and Sophie Aldred, a.k.a. Ace, member of the Celestial Intelligence Agency, are joined by Derek Jacobi, a.k.a. the Master,
a.k.a. the Time Master. Or actually, excuse me, a.k.a. the
War Master.
War Master. I grabbed
Time
the wrong
Master.
word there.
What the hell?
In the depths of the Time War for this new chapter of Gallifrey.
Randy, what are you smoking, and can I have some?
The 4 stories will be Celestial Intervention by David Llewellyn, Soldier Obscura by Tim Foley, The Devil You Know by Scott Hancock, and Desperate Measures by Matt Fitton, which may have been in last week's news. I don't actually remember. Joining them will be Narvin and Braxitel. And they're mentioning the War Master, even though they already mentioned Derek Jacobi, so I guess in case you didn't know who he was playing. And that's really about it for that piece.
I'm sorry, Matt. The soundtrack from this week's episode is completely discombobulated me.
Okay, I can't blame you on that one.
And if I'm this bad now, imagine how I'm going to be tomorrow when I'm actually doof.
Yeah. The soundtrack that caused my cat to kick me in the balls in fear of my laptop.
Oh God, no!
All right, the next piece is Torchwood Aliens Among Us Part 3, which is the final volume of Aliens Among Us, and they caption it with the end of Torchwood ? Will be out in February next year.
The end of Torchwood? Question mark? Probably not.
True. They say, as if things weren't bad enough for Torchwood, now they've got that to deal with. I think that is referring to the cliffhanger at the end of Volume 2, which they say is a twist that was RTD's suggestion, but it's not all about that. Of course, it can't be all about that, because then you wouldn't have a full box set. I've got Joseph Lidster's take on Vigilantes Group, Helen Goldwyn's story about a quiz night run by a religious maniac, and Exploding Ramblers.
What's
It'll
a
teach us
rambler?
to ramble. They say we'll see Captain Jack's plans fall horridly apart. Gwen and Reese go on a blood-soaked double date with Mr. Colchester and his husband Colin. Orr tries to solve the internet. Andy Davidson gets asked out for dinner. Yay, drama. And Terrence Hardiman plays a character called Escape. They did not save the best two for last, unless Terrence Hardiman is a bigger name than I think.
I don't know. From the BBC's The Demon Headmaster.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I don't know. Maybe. Don't know.
The Demon Headmaster? The 4 stories are named Poker Face by Tim Foley, Tagged by Joseph Lidster, Escape Room by Helen Goldwyn, and Herald of the Dawn by James Goss. All right. And
Escape room, so they're going to a LARP then. Okay.
The final bit of news is the Third Doctor Adventures Volume 4, which of course will feature Tim Treloar as the Third Doctor and Katie Manning as Jo. And actually, we knew something was coming with them, I think, because of Katie Manning's tweet that I believe we mentioned last week or the week before.
Something like that, yeah.
We knew they were filming something. But now we can announce that they will be joined by Rufus Hound, who you may know as the current actor for the Meddling Monk.
Dun dun dun.
Features the rise of the New Humans by Guy Adams. Did they have the name of the second story?
No, it'll be announced in a few weeks.
So that's the first of 2 stories.
All right.
The quote they say, Volume 4 is something of a real fan pleaser. And then, the Third Doctor and Jo against the Meddling Monk. The second story will be announced later. So this will be released in March of 2018 and is available, of course, for pre-order. And that is the end of that.
That is the end of our Big Finish news. We go to our other sci-fi and fantasy news, and I want to take a moment of talking about recent developments and fallouts in the fact that everybody's favorite company, Disney, the House of Mouse itself, has recently been in talks to purchase 21st Century Fox. More to the point, they've been trying to purchase Fox Entertainment as opposed to Fox Sports or Fox News. The talks have since broken off, but there is nothing to say that won't resume again in a month or two's time. And the reason for this is twofold. Fox has some stuff Disney wants. It has the X-Men IP, which gives them Deadpool, and it gives them Fantastic Four. It also gives them a film library to add to their streaming service as they're going head-to-head with Netflix.
And presumably leads to the cancellation of Gotham.
I doubt it. Although, yeah, with Marvel that might be, or they'll pull Gotham and move it to like that. However, this does not mean that Fox Channel would be property of Disney. Disney cannot legally own the Fox Channel because of the fact that Disney already owns ABC. And the FCC has... Who's making noise? Mute your mic when you do that, please. Anyway, the reason Fox already owns ABC, and it is illegal in the United States for a company to own 2 broadcast networks at the same time. These are old antitrust laws.
I was wondering where the antitrust laws would come into this, because I figured someone would file a suit, if nothing else.
Yes. That does not refer to cable channels or anything like that, but it does mean that you can't own CBS and NBC or CBS and ABC or NBC and ABC or any of the above in Fox. So that would be an issue, and they were trying to hammer stuff out. But this still might happen. Fox Entertainment is financially not in a good place right now. They've had a few things blow up in their faces. They've overextended themselves by adding another network over FX.
Yeah, FXX.
Actually,
FXM.
I'm kind of curious as to how they're failing so hard, because they also have control of the current run of Planet of the Apes movies, which was supposedly doing really well.
Yes, but that's
And?
the only thing they've really got right now.
Well, and they've got like
Ouch.
Archer and all these other TV shows that have been doing really
Not
good.
Fox.
Gotham.
Gotham's the only
No.
one.
Gotham's been doing well. They've got the Orville, which is doing moderately well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not just that. It's also the 20th Century Fox Film Studio. It's been a bad few years for film studios. Paramount's not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Fox is not doing well. If your name isn't Disney or Warner Brothers, you're not doing well.
And Fox isn't distributing Star Wars anymore.
Yes, Fox lost most of their Star Wars rights, except for, I think,
1997 or
some
1977.
Yeah, except for some distro rights on the original Star Wars movie. Other than that, they've lost all their rights to about everything else. So that was a huge blow to them. And just they've had a few movies tank at the box office that they invested quite a bit of money into. And the way movies work has changed. You can't financially recoup with small movies anymore. It's basically Hail Mary movies or nothing. And Fox doesn't really have, and they've had several attempts to make movies which have crashed and burned and died on them. The last X-Men movie was kind of mediocre and mediocred at the box office. It didn't outright fail, but it didn't do what they hoped.
Really? The Logan movie?
Not Logan.
X-Men, not Logan.
The actual main X-Men title, X-Men Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Logan did well, but it wasn't a high-budget movie.
Yeah.
It was kind of a medium-budget movie. Medium high, but not one of these ultra-budget movies. Not
a big blockbuster.
Not one of these $250 million budget movies, which is pretty much what most of these big Hail Mary movies are made. And these are expected to come back with
Although
revenue
unlike some movies, they had enough of a budget for a second X-Men.
Yeah. Technically, there were 2 X-Men and Deadpool. And Deadpool was one that that Fox hadn't planned would make money. And did.
Made buku on it, yeah.
Yeah, it made nearly $1 billion on something that had almost a shoestring budget. But again, that was not quite enough to offset some of the losses that Fox has had on other movies they've made, which have flat out tanked. They're not as bad off as Paramount, which is in real dire straits. But if their trend keeps going,
that's
they
a sinking
might be.
ship, and the rats are already jumping out.
And like I said, recently Fox also tried to extend themselves on the cable network by launching a second cable network and starting up a cable network from scratch. Getting all the contracts and payoffs signed takes a lot of money out of your coffer. And I think
they're sitting there preying on that one.
So I think Fox had too much to go at once. And they're trying to do their best to stay competitive, too, with a market that's increasingly going to an on-demand style market.
Mm-hmm.
And Fox knows they can't go fast enough to keep up with the on-demand market right now. So that was why that is why Disney's offer was tempting, and still might actually be hashed out. Now, think about what this would mean ramification-wise if Disney got most of the Marvel IPs back.
Be a whole new reboot for the X-Men.
Mhm.
Yeah, just imagine the Avengers sitting around talking about how they're going to deal with Thanos in one of the upcoming movies, and Deadpool walks in behind the screen and starts using their microwave to nuke a chimichanga. I
I'm
mean,
going to say I would be
and
pissed.
actually, let's have
if-
Deadpool be the only character that actually doesn't get changed up.
I would be pissed if they got Silver Surfer back right after Infinity War Part 2 finishes filming.
but mind you, this would be ramification changes to the comic books too.
The
As
X-Men
you
could
know,
be back again.
yes,
And
as
the
you know,
Fantastic
Thor would come
Four.
back again.
as you know, Marvel has basically done a freeze on any new mutants being created because they don't want to lose any more characters to the rights in the Disney-Fox war. Likewise, they've pretty much killed the Fantastic Four and have pretty much ceased publication of that. They would have done that to X-Men, but too many people would have screamed bloody murder.
Yeah, the X-Men is too popular to let that ship fail.
So having those back means that suddenly those characters would become back in play into the Marvel universe again, and we would be able to see more X-Men tying into events. And
we'd have to recast Wolverine.
not necessarily right away.
Well, I guess Hugh could do Old Man Logan. Yeah,
That's right.
No,
he did say he would participate if what was it? If they came into the Avengers or something?
Yes, if he would come back to replay Wolverine if they made an Avengers movie, and he was allowed to participate.
I said Old Man Logan. He'd be perfect.
He's not. He. Mind you, they made him older to play Old Man Logan.
Yeah, but still.
He could still do a decent Logan.
Oh God, we haven't gotten an on-screen Logan and Peter scene yet in all the movie franchises. That's something we
think
could
about
really
that.
use.
Think about that, an Avengers movie with Colossus and Wolverine. Fastball special! There's a lot of ramifications on how cool this would be.
Yeah.
Again, though, this
that
would
be all the more fuel for Disney's solo streaming effort.
Yes, and it would make the House of Mouse even bigger than it is and even more frightening. They would become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
That, actually, come to think of it, I don't know what shows would go with Fox Channel and what shows would go with the Fox Entertainment, but that could potentially be a pretty damaging blow to Netflix and Hulu.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it wouldn't be damaging to Hulu.
Okay.
Disney and
like
Fox
I said, I don't know.
both own shares in Hulu. It would be damaging as fuck to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Because Netflix doesn't get any of that stuff right now, as I recall.
In fact, yeah, Hulu is actually going into live TV, of which Disney XD is part of their lineup.
Yes, Disney is financially backing Hulu.
So they wouldn't pull everything from Hulu.
No,
I don't think so. No.
No.
Of course, what they gave Hulu was the Inhumans, so they may as well.
No, there's a ton of Disney movies on Hulu.
Yes, but Fox is also giving them The Gifted, and that is a gift, my friends. That is truly a gift.
It is actually pretty good. It's good. It's dark like it should be.
Yeah, I really like The Gifted. That's one of my regular watches.
Mind you, moving to the final.
I was just segueing, Bill. I haven't been watching my shows because I've been playing Assassin's Creed. And speaking of which, let's talk about Geek Talk. Before we get to Assassin's Creed, 3 of us have been to the theater this Tuesday, and we've all 3 seen the same movie.
I heard Thomas squeal in the background.
That movie, of course, being Thor Ragnarok, which just came out last week. I'm going to let the others speak their piece about it before I say mine. So, Thomas, you're furthest away. What did you think of Thor Ragnarok?
Well, short version, I had a smile on my face for like the vast majority of the movie. Just even like the opening 5 minutes, I was like, yes, more of this, please.
Okay, so you apparently liked it more than Aaron and I did. Aaron?
I liked it well enough. It's got a decent budget behind it. It looked good. It sounded good. My only thing is that because it feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So because they move into the realm of science fiction more, it gets rid of that whole kind of the Thor franchise or the Thor series of movies being the magical fantasy portion of the MCU.
Well, that's
They
kind of the innate
downplay
problem of
that.
Thor himself, is that he's actually more sci-fi than he actually is
Yeah,
fantasy.
Yeah.
he's an alien, but like when they first introduced, like the first Thor movie was very much kind of had
Trying
that
to lean to the
fantasy
fantasy,
feel
yeah.
to it. Yeah, and I kind of and the second Thor movie did that too a bit, only more on Earth.
And this one was a little more practical.
Yeah, so it does kind of downplay that, which I was a little bit disappointed, but otherwise it was fairly enjoyable. I didn't really think some of the characters really meshed well. Like I didn't really like the Valkyrie, the lady who was playing the Valkyrie. I mean, she's a good actress in that, but like I didn't feel there was much chemistry between her or any of the people she interacted with. And I didn't like Jeff Goldblum's character.
Yeah.
Or
And
Jeff Goldblum in that character, I should say.
Yeah.
Actually, I
And-
heard quite the opposite. I remember every other review I've heard is more Jeff Goldblum, please.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I feel much along the same lines as Aaron. There are some things in this movie I really liked. I really liked the individual character moments. The acting was great. I swear one of the writers is a Monty Python Douglas Adams fan, because the humor of a couple of characters was kind of Python-y, and on the other hand, there was a very subtle nod to Douglas Adams' book, The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul. However, what I didn't like was the scenes where the characters interacted with each other, particularly Thor and Loki and Thor and Hulk. Chemistry that these characters have had in previous movies seemed forced in this one. I mean, the chemistry between Thor and Loki was pretty much what carried Thor Dark World. It was the only thing that movie had going for it. And it just seemed forced this time, and I think that was the director's fault. At the same time, I did not like Jeff Goldblum's character. I like Jeff Goldblum, and I like him in certain roles. This was not one of those roles.
Was Jeff Goldblum in the trailers?
Yes.
Sort of, yeah, but not much.
Because he's playing the Grand Master, basically the leader of this alien, this basically Planet Hulk, essentially.
Right.
And I don't know, I just could not buy him as being a person that has basically bonded this world together by force of will. He just couldn't come off with me on that. It just...
He didn't
Jeff
have the
Goldblum
charisma.
That's my issue, yes. Jeff Goldblum is many things. Charismatic is not one of them.
In fact, he actually downplays charisma. His whole thing is about being, kind of nerdy and awkward feeling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that was part of the joke. Maybe it was supposed to be.
It
hey,
was
look
supposed
at
to
this
be,
guy
but
who was
if you're
supposed to
going to
be-
do that, cast Woody Allen as the frickin'. Because that would be so bad it's good. This didn't quite hit so bad it's good. It just hit so bad.
Like the
But
Power
those were
Glove.
my issues with the movie. The soundtrack bothered me a bit too. Mostly because they, like Guardians of the Galaxy, decided to go with 80s rock and roll music. And while that worked in a couple of cases, it did not work when clashing with the sometimes Tolkien-esque fantasy-style setup of Asgard. it just didn't quite work to me. On the other hand, the scene just before Thor met the Grand Master, the soundtrack they used for the background theme actually freaked me out. Because it was a demented version of World of Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Nice.
And when I realized that, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Otherwise, for the battle music, they used Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song. And immigration being a main theme of the story.
And yeah, it just was a little too much in your face on that part. All right, so that's our opinions on Thor Ragnarok. Moving on, I have had the chance to play the latest Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Origins, which came out at the end of last month. I am probably somewhere in the vicinity of 80% of the way through the game by now. And it's good. Its control system's a bit clunky. They completely redesigned the controls from the previous Assassin's Creed games. And that led to a lot of problems. I'm playing on the PS4, and previously the right trigger had been your free-running mode, and now it's the X button. And the right trigger is an attack. So there's been many times I've attacked something when I've been trying to jump over it. The storyline seems to be good. They seem to have developed a protagonist, which we haven't had since Assassin's Creed 3. And other than that, it is getting me interested more in ancient Egypt, which is why I play these games, as they get me involved in the time period. It's also taught me how to swear in ancient Egyptian, which now means I'm lingually vulgar in 13 different languages.
Cool.
Yes, I know how to curse and swear in 13 languages. But all in all, I'm enjoying it. If you've liked previous Assassin's Creed games, you're going to like this, but be prepared for the wonky control system. And then, Bill, you had Doctor Who: The Lost Dimension.
Bill?
So, I think it was a Discord issue. Randy's voice cut out, and halfway through a sentence, I was waiting for it to come back.
Doctor Who: The Lost Dimension?
You're waiting for me to talk now? Okay.
Mhm.
So I managed, after we announced that it had wrapped up, to read through the Doctor Who comic story, The Lost Dimension. It was one of those in the format where there were like 4 specials, and then the rest was scattered throughout the ongoing series. And it was okay. The art was kind of what you expect. I definitely would not consider it one of their better specials. It almost, in many ways, seemed like a laundry list of fan wishes. The River Song plotline could easily be skipped. Even the part with the 4th Doctor could pretty much be skipped. It's self-contained. It's pretty much there to give the 4th Doctor something to do. And then there was one really weird thing they did with the Cartmel master plan that I shared with the podcast panel here in our Discord chat that I'm really not a fan of. The most interesting thing I think they did was they did share a photo of the War Doctor before he became old and gray. I don't know if that's what John Hurt ever looked like, but it looks functional enough to me. The main other character in the story was Jenny from the Doctor's daughter, and she plays a decent role very early on, but then once the story is established, pretty much the Doctor takes over and she becomes kind of irrelevant. So altogether, I would just say it's mediocre at best for the special, and probably not worth going out and buying.
All right.
So, meh.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to move on to my rant, and I'm going to try to make this short.
Please do. We're running out of time.
I know, we are running late.
Yeah.
Okay, so last week we talked about how Paizo and Doctor Who magazine are having these issues with BBC Wales. Well, I've read a little bit more on it, and I understand more on what was going on. What happened was that one of the people that was a reviewer for Doctor Who magazine gave Class, the Doctor Who spinoff, a kind of a lukewarm to crappy review, and BBC Wales took offended by this. They put pressure on Paizo, who started cutting the budget of Doctor Who magazine and was forcing them to close off some of their articles. All because one person wrote a review of something that, to be honest, sucked and said it sucked.
Yeah, a reviewer was being honest and they didn't like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't punish your people for honesty, and BBC Wales, you have to fucking get over it.
You need to grow up, BBC Wales.
This is a third party magazine that has the license. That does not give you the control to run roughshod over all their content.
Matter of fact, even Disney is learning this lesson right now, by the way.
Ah, yes.
Class sucked. Deal with it. The person to blame for Class sucking is you, BBC Wales, because you put a inexperienced book writer as showrunner for your spin-off show.
It's not going to turn out well.
You have to deal with it. And don't punish others for your own fucking failure and for telling it like it is. Class sucked. They're right. You're wrong.
Don't you dare try to force DVDs on us. Bye.
End of rant. All right, who's up for the 5-minute challenge? Not me.
We've had Tim. I think everybody but me and you have done it recently, Randy.
Then why don't you go ahead? I'm going to start at the stopwatch because, as you can tell, I'm kind of discombobulated.
Yeah, you're loopy. I'll do this. I'll cut the fat. I'll cut all of the fat.
Yeah, if I'm like I said, I'm this bad. There's a reason I'm not going to be on the live stream tomorrow night. Okay, stopwatch is up. Ready?
All right, ready.
3, 2, 1. Let's jam.
All right, we start with the Doctor who's off to have a visit with the Master. Upon visiting, the guy who's head of the facility mentions the fact that boats have been disappearing. After a quick little meet with the Master, the Doctor decides he wants to go investigate and goes off to see a base that's located in the middle of these incidents. God, my brain just frazzled now. I can't think of her name.
Joe?
Joe also figures out what's going on and gives chase on the Doctor by bike while the Doctor's on boat. I don't know. Apparently the base is close enough to land. They manage to get to the naval base there, and with Joe appearing, they have all the proper papers to actually be there, but they're still questioning as to why. The Doctor feels that this is beyond normal stuff going on, and they go to investigate even further by going out to what was an abandoned oil rig, and come to find out that one of the two guys that was guarding it is completely frazzled, and the other one is dead. Putting the frazzled guy under, they managed to escape a close encounter with one of the Sea Devils. The Sea Devil being the name that the frazzled guard was giving them. And they continue to try and figure out why the Sea Devils are here and why they might be attacking, when the Doctor starts to figure that something's really up when parts go missing and a man is attacked at the naval base. Joe having caught a glimpse of the Master outside. They give chase back to the Master's actual supposed prison, but actual laboratory, and they try to figure out what he's up to. After a quick sword fight, the Doctor figures out from the Master that he is planning to contact the Sea Devils as part of a plan to destroy all the humans. He is going to make a device that will help the Sea Devils wake up all of their kind, and they'll have a mass invasion of Earth from underneath it. The Doctor continues to try and make little plans here and there with the help of Joe, who suddenly became an action hero in the middle of all this, to help escape and try and try to get out and get in contact with units, but are foiled at every attempt. Long story short, the Doctor is eventually abducted by the Sea Devils. He is forced to help the Master. They need to go to the shore at the naval base to get the parts they still need. The Doctor allows the others to escape. They get reinforcements. The Doctor finally escapes, and when they finally think they have the Master escapes and leaves the Sea Devils to be more or less destroyed. And thus ends the story.
And you did that in less than 3 minutes.
Just a little less than, yep.
All right. Good thing, because yes, we're running late. So.
Sped it.
Yep. All right. So what we liked about the episode, and guess what, Matt? You get to talk some more.
Oh, goody gumdrops. So things I liked about this story. I'm gonna go with the interplay between the Master and the Doctor. They actually get some really good downtime one-on-one with each other to banter.
Right.
And it even gets to go so far as to have a silly but memorable sword fight.
Yes. All right, Thomas, how about you?
There are a few things I had to choose from, but I'll just go with the first thing that comes to mind. After last week, how we kind of bitched about how useless Unit looked, it was kind of nice to see the Navy not get the same treatment and actually look competent. I mean, there's a few like deception bits and all that, but otherwise they come out looking nice.
All right. Aaron.
Let me see here. Gotta get out my notes.
Aaron, you should be getting out your notes while people before you are going.
Alright. Hang on.
Da, da, da,
So
da.
I
Close
actually...
the porn window.
I'm not on porn, I'm on Facebook. So anyway, I actually like the design of the Sea Devils. I think that's my favorite part of the show right now.
And
It's...
Steals mine.
I'm sorry. You wanted me to go.
Yes, I did, because you went before me.
You wanted me to be honest, though. Honestly, I do like the designs of the monsters. Of course, it's the 70s, so the heads aren't going to be as flexible. They're going to be a little more puppety and goofy looking. But I love the look of the dead eyes. The
dead eyes were actually something that was really good that they actually focused on.
That was a good strength to play on. Obviously they're not going to have the animatronics to make them blink. So they went with that, and they would zoom in on the eyes all the time, and it was and
these
it
creepy
didn't really
close-ups in
lose
shadow, yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't really lose its impact at all. So I thought that was pretty good.
All right. Tim?
Okay, I'm gonna put on my cup and say my favorite thing about this episode was the soundtrack.
Yeah, you can die in a fire, Tim.
You can just...
I found it quirky and amusing.
Yeah, I'm going to go into why you're wrong in the.
I believe Randy's going to be talking alongside me in the next part. Yes.
All right. Bill.
So I think I'm going to go with the Master. At first, I was a little skeptical because I was like, "What the hell does this have to do with the Sea Devils?" But as the story went on, the Master scenes were the ones where I found myself enjoying the episode. So
okay.
Mainly Roger Delgado, but a bit the Master writing probably as well, and the costuming.
All right. So Aaron took my one thing, so I'm going to pass. And we're going to move on to what you don't like about this episode. And before Matt and I go, is there anybody else whose primary choice was soundtrack?
Nope.
Nobody else? Okay.
All right. Thomas, then, what about, what did you not like about the episode?
Once again, I think there was probably a few things, but I'm just going to go with the fact I feel like they revealed showing a full shot of a, Sea Devil. I think they did that a bit too quick.
I think they didn't do the lighting well enough. They showed too much too soon. They should have done lower lights. Yeah.
Yeah. when you find like you see a shot where it would have been nice if it was shadowed because of like the head,
Whoa.
but then like you can see it full view, and it's like, oh, well, that's a bit disappointing. And so like when you finally do see a full one, like a while later, I think it is, it's a bit like,
Seen
it
it.
doesn't have as much impact, yeah.
Yep. Okay. So everyone else said not soundtrack.
Yeah,
So,
everyone else
Aaron,
said not soundtrack. Yeah.
What didn't you like about the episode overall?
I don't think I had anything in general that I didn't like.
All
Yeah.
right. So you're passing.
Yep, I'm taking a pass.
Tim?
Okay, now, I was going to say Colonel Trenchard until the Prime Minister guy came along.
Oh God.
Yes, every time he showed up, my face was like my face when I watched the Rick and Morty thing. It was
Only
like,
angry instead of
Just
only,
the
Instead of
utter
shocked.
shock,
instead of shock.
abject terror.
Yes, it was like
rage and
they are
fuming.
doing everything to make this guy as unlikable as he can. Yes, I've ordered a nuclear strike. Oh, where's my tea? Like,
This is this era Doctor Who, and it's also Malcolm Holt writing it, so it's going to be pretty anti-government.
Yeah, but
But this is
takes it to
extreme.
11.
We've had some really unlikable military guys up before this, but this one, whew.
Every stereotype that can be.
Yeah, he literally was every
Take
stereotype.
one.
He was everything from just nuke them all, screw all these monsters, to please don't hurt me, as soon as he doesn't have his nukes to rely on.
yeah, I did not like him at all.
Okay. Bill, how about you?
Well, Tim definitely took my main one. So I guess I'll go with Colonel Trenchard because I'm pretty sure that not all of he was hypnotized, right? Or was he just a douchebag?
He was just a douchebag.
Oh yeah, I thought he was hypnotized.
No, he was.
But... Okay, so then
hypnotized.
He was a gullible idiot.
He was a gullible idiot. He literally bought the master's suggestion that he was ferreting out spies to help the country.
So yeah, he was very much the whole, well, I don't even believe these sea devils exist bullshit. Not quite as bad as the guy Tim was talking about, but definitely up there.
Yeah, it was. He's one of these overzealous, and some of these portrayals were a sign of the times, because there was a very strong pro-military, pro-government movement that came as a reaction back to the leftist movements that were in there the decade before.
And I definitely get that that's what they're choosing to do, but there's a difference between writing a character as unlikable and writing them as so ridiculously over-the-top caricatured that you can't even take them as a person anymore. And that's what these two guys were.
Yeah.
Makes you want to punch the writer.
Yep. All right. So you've all had your piece. Now Matt and I are going to talk about the soundtrack.
Can I say one comment first, Dran?
Go ahead.
I want to light the Casio keyboard on fire and drop the cat that he kept dropping on the keyboard into that same fire. I hate.
All right. So I was going to, before giving my opinion, state a bit about the soundtrack itself. It was written by a composer named Malcolm Clarke. He was a member of the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, and this particular track was considered an experimental and controversial track for Doctor Who. Barry Letts apparently had to edit the crap out of his score because of the fact that it was so off the wall.
Arg.
It has been described by people as startling in its range of obtrusive electronic timbres and relative melodic paucity. Mixed music and sound effects, and presented uncomfortable sounds to a substantial early evening audience on Saturdays in a way not duplicated in Britain before or since.
In short, it sounds like someone strangling a Casio keyboard on stage live
In
for the audience.
The Radiophonic Workshop was pretty much forbidden to produce music again for Doctor Who until John Nathan Turner took over. That is how much this soundtrack did not go over with the audience of the time.
Yeah.
And I can see why.
Awkward moment when you get your entire business fired.
This
From a show.
soundtrack physically gave me a headache.
It was borderline about ready to give me a headache.
It made me unable to concentrate on the episode because I was focused on how much my ears were hurting from the electronic squeak.
The annoying screeches that randomly popped up, yes.
Yes, and how much that soundtrack was inappropriate for the scene it was showing.
It's also inappropriate because half the time you're not sure if it's actually background music or if it's actually supposed to be a sound effect for the episode.
Yes, I was about to bring that up. There was so much about it that just did not work in my book. It was pain-inducing. I would love to see a DVD release of this episode done with the soundtrack ripped out of it.
Redone by
no
Murray Gold.
soundtrack version of this, or a rescored sound. Somebody
rescored, yes.
Who ripped it out and scored a new soundtrack for it. Because
actually,
I would have said let Dudley Simpson do it, but he's dead now.
Yeah.
I actually remember one bit. There's like when they show the minefield sign or whatever. It sounds like someone just farted in the fucking recording.
Yes, and you know. Delia Derbyshire was a member of the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. She showed how to take an oscilloscope and turn it into music, and she did it beautifully.
She had to have been cringing when she saw what this guy did.
This is an example of how not to do the same thing.
Yeah, this is an experimental track, and it should have stayed an experimental track that never went anywhere, and they should have just got something else.
This is let's take an oscilloscope and display its feedback into the mic directly and not edit it. It physically hurt me, and it's going to hurt its score from me because of it.
Oh, yeah. Because it took away a lot.
So, favorite scene, and Matt, you're first.
Favorite scene? Trying to pick out which one I want to go with. I think I'm gonna go with Joe Super Spy. Joe all of a sudden is sneaking around the base, and she finally finds the Doctor again. She symbols to him through a window, and they set up a plan to mess with the guard and get the Doctor free. And
I remember that scene, and all I could think of the entire time I was watching is how bad the soundtrack was in that scene.
I completely ignored the soundtrack and paid attention to what was actually going on screen. That was one of the few times. And
I'm amazed that the Doctor is able to decipher Joe's hand signals. I
kind of got most of her hand signals. There's a few I'm like, huh? Oh, is there like a guard or something in my sesh? Okay, gotcha. I love the fact that I believe it's not even the first time. Like, she escaped because she literally judo chopped somebody and ran for it.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, Joe becomes like an action hero and saves the Doctor for change.
Well, it is part of Joe's backstory is because she joined UNIT because she wanted to be a spy.
Well, she definitely had her moment to shine in this episode.
And was only accepted into UNIT because she has a uncle or cousin or something that's high up in the
higher up in UNIT, yeah.
And basically gave her to the Brigadier to babysit. And the Brigadier promptly turned her over to the Doctor to babysit.
And the doctors made a spy of her.
Mm-hmm.
Which is frustrating for him because he's been trying to make a scientist out of her.
Yeah. All right.
A and B.
Thomas, what was your favorite scene?
Apparently I'm the only one who kind of liked how they did this character, but my favorite scene is when the parliamentary guy is sitting down at that table and just gorging himself in all this food as he's giving orders to blow the shit out of the Signal's base. Because to me, like, partly it's because it reminds me of the scene in Return of the King, where, like, Denethor does kind of a similar thing as Faramir is charging to his death, but also just the whole...
Oh, yeah.
The complete and utter disregard for anything, because he's like, well, I'm in charge here, and honestly, I think they handled this guy a lot better than the similar thing they did in Claws of Axos, so...
Well, you know, the thing is, too, that there is some standard for high-ranking members of British government to give these orders and run state from weird positions. Winston Churchill used to give orders and meet foreign dignitaries while in the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not lying about that.
Yeah, that's a thing I heard too.
And drunk, I believe.
Sometimes,
Oh.
often, almost always drunk.
Yeah.
At least I like Buzz going at all times, because God, the times he had to work in.
Yeah, I mean, there's this great story about Winston Churchill where he's coming home for the night, drunk as a skunk, runs into the lady running the opposition party, and she's just like, "You, sir, are drunk," and she's like, "Yes, I am drunk, and you're ugly. Tomorrow, I will be sober. You will still be ugly."
Which is a joke because tomorrow he probably was not sober.
He was soberer than he was that night.
All right.
Anyway.
I believe we're up to Aaron.
Yep.
All right. My favorite scene was actually the cliffhanger at the end of season 4. It's the one where
You mean episode 4?
or episode 4. Never mind. Episode 4. So, it's basically Joe walking up to the diving bell like structure and peering up inside, and you see kind of a look of shock on her face a little bit. She's kind of curious. She's kind of shocked and everything. And I thought it was a really good kind of reaction. That was really well filmed from inside the diving bell, looking down at her.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's a lot of good shots here where we see the camera shooting down on top of, a victim of the sea devils just before they pounce and stuff like that.
All right.
Oh.
Tim.
Okay, so I'm surprised this hasn't been taken already, but I'm gonna go with the sword fight.
Damn it, Tim.
There's one I held back on.
But, yeah, that was, some Darren Dew's Cavalier time.
And the fact that they managed to do it all while avoiding hitting a sandwich on a table.
Sandwich.
Well, that would be
Sandwich.
uncivilized. I mean,
I wonder, was it a bacon sandwich?
Hard to tell. It actually looked more like it might have been bologna.
I mean, if they wanted
Bologna!
if they wanted to be truly civilized, they would put saucers on their head with little teacups, but they had to be at least partially civilized.
Oh, no. That's not civilized at all, putting a saucer on your head. That's completely gauche. What,
Well,
were you born in a barn, putting a saucer in your head? No!
That's
Saucers
how you
don't go on your head.
that's how you know that you're moving in a civilized manner, because it doesn't spill the tea. If it spills the tea, then you know that you are not moving in
No,
a civilized way.
that's good posture for lady.
Yeah,
It's not what men do in a sword fight.
They would put the saucers on their shoulders, I think.
Anyway, Bill, your favorite scene, sir?
So I'm gonna go with my next choice then, which would be the whole thing with tricking the doctor, even though I'm not a huge fan of the character that was behind it, the whole thing that where they staged this elaborate thing to prove that they could withstand the doctor's hypnotism and everything, was a good reveal.
Oh, you mean the Master's hypnotism?
Sorry, yeah, the Master's hypnotism.
I remember that scene because that was before the outrageous soundtrack really started to get annoying.
Speaking of the Master's hypnotism, why does the Doctor keep leaving the Master to be guarded by humans who can be hypnotized?
Because he really doesn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Who is he going to leave him with? I mean, I suppose he could just drag the Master around on a leash, but
then the Master would be a constant pain in him getting around.
That would be a bit kinky too.
He could.
Now
I don't know
Missy
why
would
he doesn't
like it.
Prison the Master in the TARDIS, but then I guess he's afraid the Master will fuck up
Steal
his
TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And well, if you stole the TARDIS, that would be a step in the right direction because that would mean that he'd have to repair it.
Actually, it's the whole TARDIS thing's complicated anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to take a pass because Tim took mine and Bill took my other. So, all right, scenes that you don't like. Least favorite scenes, Matt.
Least favorite scene. I'm gonna have to go. I think that actually the worst scene that I can remember off the top of my head, the scene that felt really silly, is the Sea Devil that's trying to chase after the Doctor when they're going through the minefield.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm not sure what kind of direction that suit actor got to play that Sea Devil, but he looked absolutely ridiculous out there.
Probably couldn't hear the direction he was getting either.
It could have been the direction he was getting, or it could have been the fact that the suit itself might have been getting caught on stuff out there. I'm not sure, but he just whatever was out there was not working for him.
All right.
And it just came off as ridiculous.
All right, Thomas.
I'm gonna go with the cliffhanger for episode 1, where they've discovered the dead guy, and then it turns out in the next one that you find out that it's just the other worker that's coming towards them, and it's pretty obvious by the shadow when you concentrate that it's not a Sea Devil or anything, and it just seems like if they'd ended the episode either 5 minutes earlier or after discovering the corpse, or if some of episode 2 had been at the end of episode 1 to be the cliffhanger, then it probably would have been a better ending for that episode. It seemed like the weakest cliffhanger of the lot.
All right. And Aaron?
All right, I'm going to also go back to the minefield. There's actually a few scenes that didn't really quite came together, but the minefield, if you check closely while they're going through it, you see a boom mic. It's at the bottom of the left-hand corner of the screen.
Yeah.
When the Doctor, I believe the Doctor is crawling around on the ground.
The third Doctor they always had issues with the boom mic.
He's crawling onto the barbed wire. That's what he's falling on the barbed wire so that Jo can pick her way over the top of him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then one of those scenes at the lower left-hand corner, you can see a dark edge of a boom mic kind of swing up from the bottom.
There's actually a couple of scenes I saw shadows moving when there wasn't supposed to be characters there, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boom mics and shadows were always a damper for Doctor Who at this point.
Yeah, and that actually continues through the 5th and 6th Doctor era.
Mm-hmm. There's actually bloopers for the 5th Doctor where literally 4 or 5 doctors are looking, 3 or 4 doctors are looking up and going, "You naughty boom mic," and just they want to smack it just to get it out of there.
Yeah, that's because that was an actual malfunctioning boom mic. The counterweight on it just kept causing the mic to droop.
Yeah, it just kept slipping. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Him, you're next.
Him.
Okay, so I really didn't care for the very end of the episode when the Master escapes, because I thought that was kind of like the most half-assed escape attempt that they could have done. And I realized that, yeah, it's the end of the episode, so we need to wrap this up. And it was like, the doctor on board said the Master's dead. What doctor? Like, wait. Does the Master just have Master Mask stuffed up his ass the whole...
I have this Master Mask
Hold it out,
up my
fresh
ass.
and steaming.
Almost the kind of funny thing about that is apparently John Pertwee wanted that entire scene rewritten because even he was like, "This is bullshit.
This is too
not
far."
happen."
I would have loved to see him engage in a little bit of Master Fu. You see the guards coming out, and he literally pulls a Pertwee, and comes out and just karate chops both of them behind the neck and turns and runs back into the hovercraft before they could do anything.
And then when the Master waves goodbye, and the Doctor says, I suppose I could give chase, but oh no, salt it.
He'll be back next episode.
I'll see you in a couple of... I'll see you, Serial, after next.
He'll be back. He always comes back.
All right. And Bill, how about you?
Okay, so I'm going to go with, are you going to kill those sailors, or am I going to replace you with someone who will? Well, you got me there. I have no choice now but to go and drop a bomb on those sailors. It's not like I could try to convince you or disable the equipment. I'm just stuck doing whatever you say now that you said that.
I guess you give me no choice, sir. I'm gonna go kill me some sailors now.
It's not like they're my own men or anything out there.
I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, Pilgrim.
Why am I suddenly Texan?
Because I felt like it.
I thought we were in Britain or something.
I was, but that whole scene hits me as being very John Wayne-y. Anyway, my least favorite scene is actually one of somebody else's favorites, and that's the Joe Super Spy scene. But it is solely because of the soundtrack completely drawing me out of the
yeah. See, that was the soundtrack driving you crazy, and I wasn't actually going crazy just yet that time. I was able to withstand it a bit longer.
No, it was me going, okay, she's trying to sneak. You subtle, and your soundtrack should be subtle, not bleep, 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 bleep. And it was absolutely just, I could not imagine how inappropriate that soundtrack was for that scene.
Essentially, you were noticing the soundtrack over everything else, and it made you want to slam your head against the wall.
Yes. Literally, Aaron left to go to work halfway through episode 4, and I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't think I could put up with that much longer.
I could give it a break. I could do a Tylenol.
I think I'd spent episode 3 just sitting there lolling, waiting for the Doctor Who credits to soothe me. All right, so final thoughts. And Matt, you are first.
Back to me first.
Yep.
A lot of the ideas were in this one were really interesting and really well done. The Sea Devils, either they needed better direction or a couple of more better suit actors, one of the two. But for what they were actually relatively well done. The musical score is horrendous. But the acting tries to, in at least parts here and there, make up for what is going on in the background that they can't sadly hear and make up for even more.
All right. Thomas?
It's interesting because I think I've brought it up before, but this is like the first time I've been able to watch this the entire way through because I meant to watch it when I was on TV and missed some episodes, so I just skipped it. But I am, even though like it's definitely flawed in places, but I am glad that I actually finally watched this, though I wouldn't say it was all that great because I was very easily distracted. I've watched this 2 times through, and I was distracted by other things both times.
Yeah, I was of course distracted by the soundtrack, making me want to kill people.
No, not today. Maybe later.
Hi, Randy. Now's the time to try to kill everybody. Yeah, that was kind of my feeling. All right. Aaron?
Yep, I enjoyed this. I actually enjoyed this one. I felt that it was kind of dark, atmospheric. A lot of the camera angles kind of fed into that. The music was maybe a little too experimental, though. There were times when it was certainly hurting my ears, and while it didn't give me a headache, it drove me out of some of the intense situations going on there. I think really the more quiet it was, the better. To be honest,
So you agree with the Dudley Simpson method of composing?
A very minimalist, yeah.
Such
You know, and just kind of keeping the monsters in the dark, which they did for a good chunk of the serial. Like, you didn't see...
With exceptions of accidents.
With the exceptions of some accidents and stuff, so... and the design of the Sea Devils overall is very unique and really kind of cool looking, to be honest. I'd love to see them come back for the modern Who era.
Yeah, they could use a nice update.
So, yeah.
All right, Tim?
So, unlikable characters aside, there was a lot to like about this episode. I think there was a spirit of fun and adventures, given that it was on the high seas, and it was like a good mix of like a James Bond-esque and 1960s, 70s sci-fi movie that I think melded very, very well together.
Please don't give this episode a 5.
Okay, Bill?
This episode was a combination of frustrating in its overuse of overdone stereotypes and not really entertaining enough to balance it out. I kind of enjoyed myself when the Master was on the screen most of the time, but even then sometimes the story just kind of felt like it was dragging, and I don't know, it feels like there's a lot of themes that are, everywhere in 70s Who, and not a lot original to talk about in the story. So just altogether not really much to recommend.
So you're just not feeling this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode for me is a really mixed bag. Malcolm Hulke's writing has that little political drama backstory that is all the subtlety of a bag of hammers. It has the absolute tenacity of Jeremy Clarkson on the screen. It is fully and totally in your face on it. The soundtrack is about ready to kill me. The acting, from what I can see, the acting is done well. And character interaction's fine, but the directing itself is hit or miss. All in all, I would say this is just sub of par, at best. So now we go to scores, and Matt, your rating out of 5.
This could have easily been a 4 if they redid the music. I'm giving it a 3.
Matt gives it a par. All right.
Barely.
Thomas.
I feel like I can't give it a 3 just because of a lot of the performances, so I'm going to give it a 3.5.
3.5?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had a little flutter on the mic. Okay, all right. Aaron.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well.
People are generous.
Yeah.
Way too generous. Tim.
Okay, so wait, this episode wasn't time lashed, so I'm gonna give it a 0. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I won't give it a 5, but I will give it a 4.5.
Oh,
God.
Well,
Bill.
I think at this point I'm just feeling a 2.
I'm with Bill on this one. I'm going to give it a 2. I'm sorry, that soundtrack took it down to a 3, and then the overly hammering writing took it down another point. And while the acting was good, I didn't think it was good enough to outdo that. So, putting that all together...
If I count the weird sounds making the cat kick me in the balls, I would drop it to a 1.5. But it's entirely the episode's fault.
suffer for your work.
Thank your cat for me. He did one of my dick kickings, so I can scratch that off the agenda.
that's
all right,
1 down,
so
5 to
that brings
go.
us to an average of 3.1, which will sort out to...
Barely floats at average. They all float down here.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Captain Generous, this actually probably would have gone below par. 3.1 puts it at 179 out of 222. So it's down there. It is on par with Earthshock, Cold War, Rings of a Cotton, which I still say might be going up in rank. Class, the coach with the dragon tattoo. You know you're bad when you're in there with
You're
Class.
in there with Class.
Asylum of the Daleks
Mm.
and the Mysterious Planet. It is better than The Wheel in Space, The End of Time, The Beast Below, Deep Breath, The Ultimate Foe, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, and Revelation of the Daleks. It
Dinosaurs
is not
doesn't
as
deserve
good
that
as
either.
Arc of Infinity, Robot, The Pandorica Opens, Big Bang, Time Lash. Yes, it scored lower than Time Lash. The
Ooh.
Mahogany Murders, Daleks Master Plan, Stones of Blood, Modern Undead, Tonight We Might Die, Evil of Daleks, again, more class, In the Forest of the Night, Planet of the Daleks, and Vengeance of the Stone. So there we are, 179.
Vengeance of the Stones was better than this.
Yeah, 179 of 222. That's how we feel about the Sea Devil. All right.
You're all crazy.
I'm sorry, but if we all lived in Timland, every episode would be a 5.
If we all lived in Timland, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I
I'm
wish I
sorry,
could
my
feel
men-
positive
my
about this
mental
episode
image-
as you.
My mental image of Timland is the Pyro's mental world from Team Fortress 2.
Yeah,
I was gonna
awesome.
say if it was like Floofy Land, but with less cannibal incest.
Oh my.
Oh, man.
Oh, damn, Bill, damn. Okay, take us out, please.
All right. If you enjoy listening to us, if our pain is entertaining, please subscribe and like the video
I'll
on
pain your
Twitch and
pleasure.
YouTube. You can also follow us and for news and updates on Facebook and Twitter, where we may try to do something with 280 characters, but probably not because it's
I'm
not
working my way up there,
necessary.
man.
And if you want to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/Unearthly Podcast.
All right. On next week's show, we skip a serial and bounce a little further into Season 9 to the penultimate appearance of the Master in the Third Doctor era, and the second-to-last appearance of Roger Delgado, and yet another possible cause for the destruction of Atlantis as the Doctor faces the Time Monster. Written by Robert Sloman and starring John Pertwee as the Doctor, Katie Manning as Joe Grant, Nicholas Courtney as the Brigadier, and Roger Delgado as the Master. And I may be a cyborg when we come back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
You should never skip breakfast.
I know a time monster. I think his name is Tim. Good night.
Hmm.